fishing.
You'll call the meeting to order. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is our regular city council meeting for March the 9th of 2026. Start with a roll call, please.
Weber.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Versater.
Present.
Maynard.
Present.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Appleby. Yes.
First, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to public comment. Shelley, do you want to come up? Hi.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me tonight. My name is Shelley Pratt. I'm the project director for, I'm sorry, I didn't state my address, 223 East 4th Street, Waterloo. I know I reside and work in Waterloo, but I do cover this area. I manage the Department of Labor Title V grant program that's designed to help older workers who are 55 and older, unemployed, and out of work looking to get skills to get back into the workforce. I've worked in this area before with a couple of agencies. My agencies have to be nonprofits or public agencies, and I've helped a few people here in Independence get back on their feet again. I'm reaching out to you guys tonight because you know people. Everybody knows somebody who could use some help. We pay our volunteers 35 hours a week, $7.25 an hour, to help out those agencies so that they can get skills, build their skills to get back into the workforce. I have flyers, I have pamphlets, always looking for help to help spread the word, so I figured I would hit you guys up for that. So thank you for your time tonight. I'm able to speak to anybody at any point in time. I don't want to keep your time because I'm hoping it goes fast for you tonight. So thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that was the only one, so let's move to the consent agenda then. I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda, which includes the following: the minutes of the February 23rd, 2006 regular meeting, the request to hunt within city limits for Curtis Cooksley for October 2026 to January 2027 bow hunting season, and the Walmart Inc. Class C retail alcohol license ownership amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the financials. I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 7, which is the bank reconciliation. This is for information only. Anybody have any questions with regard to that? Hearing none, we move to item number 8, which is the revenues and expenses to date. Again, this is information only. Anybody have? Okay, hearing none, let's move to item number 9. Item number 9 is the first reading of an ordinance amendment to Chapter 69, parking regulations. I need a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 69, parking regulations.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. As you'll recall, at the work session, Dustin Dallenbach came in and indicated and discussed the problem that they have in the 200 block of 2nd Street Northeast. Based upon that discussion, we prepared an amendment to Chapter 69.11, which would have the parking. It modified the 2-hour parking and the overnight parking so that it's now on the south side only and not on the north side between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. Any discussion with regard to this?
It's on the north side, isn't it?
Well, the house is on the north side. The amendment makes the parking apply only to the south side, not to the north side.
To remove it from the north, the council discussion was to leave it on the south side, but remove just the north side.
And on the north side, didn't we take out those handicap spots?
Did the handicap spots are removed?
They'd been removed some time ago, hadn't they?
I thought there was.
No, it's blue.
There's still one that's across from.
It's painted blue, but I didn't see a
Right.
sign.
It's painted blue. The post office has still got the 1 or 2 handicap spots there.
Okay.
But then in front of where we're talking, I think that blue should be painted yellow and
Yeah.
removed.
Okay,
We'll talk about something towards the end of the meeting that will help us with that, but we can clean it up.
Okay.
okay. Any further discussion regarding this? Okay, hearing none, this is a roll call vote then.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Appleby,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-1. Does anybody want to make a motion to suspend the statutory rule requiring that an ordinance to be considered and voted on for passage has to have 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it's finally passed?
So moved. Second.
Okay, this would be a roll call vote, and I need 6 out of 7 for this to pass.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Appleby,
No.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have it on then for the next regular scheduled meeting for the second reading then,
23rd.
23rd. Okay, let's see, then we move to item number 10. And item number 10 is a resolution to approve the contract and performance. It's a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution approving the contract and performance and/or payment bonds for the 2026 street rehabilitation project, and to authorize the city manager to sign the contract. First, I need a motion. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. This is the, we previously approved the contract from, how do you pronounce it again? Shake Fry Excavating Company for the total amount of $677,326.90. They've now,
We approved the bids.
well, we approved
This is the contract,
right, we approved the bids. They got the high bid,
the low bid.
the low bid, the bid that was approved. And now we need the contract's been submitted to us, so now we're voting to approve the contract so that it can be signed and the work can move forward. So any further discussion with regard to that?
I got one question. How much was it that we were charging the residents for all the residents and businesses on those streets?
It's $30 a lineal foot.
I know it's $30 a foot, but the total dollar value, wasn't that like 300 and some thousand
Oh,
dollars?
no way, it's that much, I don't think.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, it shouldn't be anywhere close to that dollar amount. I mean, the average
looked at it
person
wrong.
is, pardon? The average person is probably about between $2,500 and $5,000, most of them between around $4,000. We don't have that many that would come anywhere near that dollar amount. We can certainly check it out for you.
Sure.
Okay, any further discussion on that then? Okay, this will be a roll call vote then.
Maynard,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Appleby,
No.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
No.
Crusader.
Yes.
That passes then 5-2. Next, move to item number 11. There are 2 motion options, but I'm going to read the first motion option first, and then we'll have discussion, and then if we call for a vote on that and then it's not approved, then we can proceed with the making of the second motion. Everybody with me? All right. So the first motion would be a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a resolution approving the preliminary plat of the survey for Jackson Green 7th edition, noting that it complies with the city ordinances with the exception of 175.371C5, which requires a cul-de-sac not to exceed 500 feet in length, which by approval of the attached resolution is extended as shown in the attached preliminary plat, but only for this preliminary plat. So that's the motion. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. This is the project that's at near the corner of Enterprise Drive and 6th Avenue Southwest. It's all construction that's doing the project. Before I say anything else, I want to say that I want this project approved. I just have concerns, and I stated the concerns to the Planning and Zoning Commission at the time that we did it. They approved it to recommend it to be submitted to the board, to the council by a 3-2 vote. If you look in your packet itself, there is a On page 61 and 62, there is actually a letter from me to the Planning and Zoning Commission setting forth my reasons for why I had concerns about it. There's two major areas that I have concerns with. One of them is that the ordinance 175.371C5, which is the one that's in effect, and there's also a letter in there from our city attorney regarding this as well, but it requires it not to exceed 500 feet. We also have approved SUDIS, and if you look in your packet, the section regarding SUDIS for cul-de-sacs, and I'll read this to you because it does not recommend this. It merely states that it's an option, so it's a guidance document. The length of the cul-de-sac determines how many people are impacted by maintenance operations, traffic accidents, and other incidences that may stop traffic flow. Many Iowa cities limit the length of the cul-de-sac to 500 to 600 feet. Studies indicate that the longer the cul-de-sac, the higher the vehicular speeds along it. The 2018 edition of the International Fire Code recommends the length of the cul-de-sac be that the length of the cul-de-sac be less than 750 feet unless additional steps are taken. Blah, 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 blah. So there is not a SUDIS recommendation. We do have an ordinance ourselves. I believe that currently that the cul-de-sac that's planned is about approximately 700 feet. Between 650 and 700 would be I don't have it on the exact number. The other issue that was of a concern to me is we've been trying for several years now to get a grant to allow us to put the trail running along Enterprise Drive from 150 all the way to that intersection at the 6th Avenue. The way that the plans are currently drawn, they have 4 driveways that would be as you approach 6th Avenue. Now, to be fair, the developer and Brian Crawford have responses to these, and I want to state them to you as fairly as I possibly can. With regard to the issue of why they don't have the road running straight through, entering on Enterprise and exiting on, they're of the opinion that people will come to the stop sign at 6th when you're on Enterprise, and rather than stopping at that stop sign, they'll cut through the development and go through the development, come to 6th Avenue where there will be another stop sign, and then they'll turn from there. And they believe that, at least they expressed at the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, that was an important, they thought that was a reason why a through was not necessary, because if you had a through, you'd have extra traffic on the cul-de-sac because you'd have people that would be trying to get through, that would be trying to bypass the stop sign. This isn't a traffic signal, this is a stop sign. The other issue with the issue of the four properties that would be close, that would be on Enterprise, that would be, you'd have to cross the trail in order to get to and from the residents themselves. My understanding is that their intention is to build the houses in such a manner as the garage would be on the side of the house as opposed to in the front of the house, so that you'll be able, when they pull in to the garage, when they be pulling out of the garage, they would be able to come in a forward direction to the trail itself before they make their left or right turn, as opposed to, in that way they're not, it's not somebody backing over the trail, it's somebody that would be going forward over the trail. Plus, I think there was also some discussion about the possibility, when you look at the preliminary plat itself, it doesn't have the driveways, it has the driveways more in front of the properties. I think the idea was that they would try to move them more to the side, more to the west side of more to the east side of the property line, the property itself, closer to the line with the house next to them, so that would help alleviate some of the problem as well, because one of the other concerns that we had was that the house that's closest to 6th Avenue, the house itself would be, the driveway, if it was in the center of that, would be too close, according to the codes, to be to the intersection itself. There's a certain setback requirement from the intersection itself, and it would be too close if it was in the middle there. I think there was also a comment that was made at Planning and Zoning that when we adopted SUDIS, that automatically rescinded the prior ordinance that we had in effect. And there's a coverage opinion in the packet from our city attorney saying that that's incorrect, that it would not.
It wouldn't supersede?
It would not supersede it, especially since the SUDIS requirement, as a guideline, doesn't even make a recommendation that it be up to 750. They're just telling you what the international fire is, and they're also telling you what other people have done. And there's a lot of other cities that have more, something greater than the 500 that we have. There's a lot of other cities that have 500 or 600 that they use, just like the guidance document says. Now, certainly, another thing that's been argued is that there are others, cul-de-sacs within the city limits that are way in excess of 500 feet, and they've been allowed to do it in the past, and so they should be allowed to do it in the present time. And my response to that is just because you make a mistake before and somebody allows something doesn't mean that you have to continue to make the same mistake over and over again. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands that the council has a lot of leeway with regard to approving a preliminary plat. And if the council believes that the preliminary plat should be approved as it is, or even with as the motion states, without the section involving the not agreeing that they've met with the requirements of the 500 feet, but saying that they could. Well, the best way to put it is, you have the authority based upon our existing code sections to do something else rather than follow the code if you feel that following the code is not appropriate. I'm not a fan of that. I believe that the law is the law, but you have the ability to do that, and you have the ability to say, I want to approve the plan as it is. There will be a second motion. The second motion would be to send it, not to deny this completely, but it would be to send this back to Planning and Zoning, and to allow the Planning and Zoning to meet with the contractor and the engineer again and have them make something that's more compliant. So that's the two motions, and that's what we're dealing with. So further discussion.
Yeah. I would encourage everyone to vote no with the 4 driveways. The same mistake was made on 6th Avenue, and 3 houses have driveways that go onto 6th Avenue. Periodically, there's near accidents when people are backing out of their driveways onto 6th, and that's a busy one. But it's not that much. It's not much less busy on Enterprise. Matt, would you say there's about 2,000 on both of them?
Cars and your vehicle traffic per day, yeah, it's in the 2,000 range.
Yeah. And it's going to go across a trail that we're going to pay to put in.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a better way. I'm all for housing, but that's not the better way to do it. We lost the farm to market road status on 6th Avenue when those houses were built accessing 6th Avenue. So my vote would be no on it.
Other comments?
Something else I was wondering is where the cul-de-sac is there, and you have, and you have lot 9, why can't that road just continue, instead of having the cul-de-sac, why can't it continue through lot 9 to 6th Avenue?
Well, that's what my position was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm leaning towards too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan. I mean, I've lived on cul-de-sacs. I'm just not a big fan of cul-de-sacs, and I'm more in favor of through. But this isn't my decision at all. I'm trying to give both sides of this so everybody can fully understand the issues and make sure that we're doing what, the purpose of allowing the council flexibility is to make sure that they're doing what's in the best interest of all of the community and not just
Repeating a mistake.
yeah.
And another reason I would be in favor of that aspect is you have 2 different entries for fire access and stuff,
Well,
for safety.
That's a big concern of mine when you have a cul-de-sac. Now, that granted, there are not,
Especially with that many residents on it.
well, there's only 20 homes in this development that's planned. If this had a lot more homes on, because these are larger lots, there are less homes than could be. So that's a positive for allowing the cul-de-sac. But there's certainly, the International Fire is for, that's international. I mean, it's not just Iowa. It's not even, it's,
Right, I mean, it's the International Fire Code, that's what IFC means.
yeah, so it's not, they're not taking into consideration whether it's rural or whether it's urban or whether it's other types of things. That when they give you their guideline, that's the guideline for everybody under the fire code. So that's something to consider.
Could we have Blake talk about the cul-de-sac issue with the fire trucks?
Blake's,
Yeah, so I was at the planning and zoning meeting. We've been kind of involved with this ever since the start of it. One of the things that we had suggested to Ron and Brian was additional hydrants, because the original plan only had one at the end. That's more of an issue for us, because we have to go clear to the end of the cul-de-sac to hit the hydrant and then come back to where the house is. So the only thing we had asked was that they add hydrants to it, and they had added an additional 2 hydrants. As far as everything else, the road's wide enough. There's the bulb at the end of it. It's big enough for us to turn around. When I went out and drove by it, there's very little concerns as far as cul-de-sac on our end. Steve G has several cul-de-sacs that have more housing on it than what this is proposed, and we have no issues out there either.
So obviously, if it's approved with the fire trucks, the ambulance isn't going to have any issues.
Correct.
just to be fair about the Steve G project, you and I talked at the very beginning when there was a lot of complaints about the accessibility for getting people in and out, and the concerns about if there were, because there were limited roads in there at the time the first people were in there. And this is 2022 time period. And we had a lot of people that were complaining about the fact that they bought these houses and they were not expecting that they were, that they were going to be in a situation where potentially there's something that's clogging the road, or there's a fire in the one area and they're not allowed to get, they're not able to get out. And I remember specifically you and I talking about that at the time as a concern.
And I think that was back when Spruce Drive
had not been-
cul-de-sacs, and so you had a substantial amount of more residents there.
Absolutely, I
And
agree
think-
100.
And I think with this as a cul-de-sac, only my personal opinion, if you advertise it as a cul-de-sac, you want a quiet road that doesn't have through traffic, I think the potential, that's a marketing for a realtor or someone else, that aspect of it, that with there only being 20 houses total in this lot, I don't know how many for sure. I think it's 16 on the inside, or is it 14 on the inside? I can't remember for sure. 14 on the inside. That is less of a concern as opposed to Steve G's addition that had Spruce Drive and the several other cul-de-sacs that went on to that. So
Yeah, once those other roads were built, the concerns vanished there, well, to a great extent. I mean, people still will
right.
always have something to talk about, but
So I have two one's a question, one's a comment. So we have the trail across the driveway, and people use that driveway. Anywhere else in town, you're responsible for the sidewalk that you would drive over. How does that compare with a trail as opposed to a sidewalk that runs through a residential driveway?
What do you mean by responsible? What do you?
Hey, should there be trouble? Should it break? Should it crack because of having a vehicle on it rather than people and bicycles?
So the way that works in the rest of the city is the trail is the city's trail, so we would work in partnership with that property owner, I would think, to look at what those repairs need to be if it's the trail section itself. There are plenty of places in the city where we clear snow from those trails that cross private property. The one on 6th Avenue Southwest down there in front of Scott Crawford's is an example that I can think of where, the trail crosses his driveway that goes into his property, but we clear that.
Sure. So I guess that's not my question. My question is from the weight of vehicles, things like that. If it starts to break, crack, heave,
My
How will that
expectation would
be?
be that we would pay for those repairs to the trail section itself. Now, the driveway that's outside of that trail, we would
Sure.
not pay for.
Absolutely.
But
If I could address that.
it's the mayor's meeting, it's
Just
his
wait.
decision.
Okay,
So,
I just want to make sure all council have spoken, and then I'll give you a chance to say something.
sure.
so that's where my question comes in is, and I want to know about who's financially responsible, number one, because obviously they're using it in a manner that would be different than a trail. Number two, what I was going to say, my statement is, this is 4 driveways.
Well, it's actually 4 on Enterprise, and it's 2 more on.
So it's 6.
It's a total of 6. Yeah.
That's independence math, but that's 6 driveways.
Really?
We have, how many, it'd be over 1,000 other driveways in town that cross sidewalks that people use to walk and ride their bikes on, walk their children in strollers. I don't see that there's a problem at all with people with having these trails go across the sidewalk, or excuse me, having this trail go across the driveways.
Yeah, I was more concerned about a safety issue than I was anything else.
Well,
because-
safety, I guess I'm attributing it to running over people. What safety are you
Yeah,
talking about?
running over people, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We do it all over town. There's driveways at just about every house goes across the sidewalk.
Understood.
So I'm just saying, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
But you know, you say that, if they go over our sidewalk, we pay for the sidewalk.
I know, that's why the start of my question was, how does that attribute itself to trails?
Because it's a trail, and it's a trail that the city owns and the city maintains, I could see us being responsible for that. Now, from a purely code perspective, I would expect that our code says the resident is responsible for it.
But I can't
But I
imagine
can't,
that we would
I
enforce.
can't imagine that we would do that when, like I said, I mean, we paid to put the trail in, the city paid to put the trail in, we wanted a wider trail there. There may be some sort of cost sharing that could happen where we had the resident pay for what a 4-foot sidewalk would cost or a 5-foot sidewalk, and we pay the additional. Should that scenario come up, we would look at it in that case. To my knowledge, I don't know that it has.
I don't either. I just
Hasn't in
bring
the
up,
3
that's
years
the
I've
first
been
part of
here,
my
but-
question is, I just wanted to make sure that that was clearly drawn out so that the homeowner wasn't responsible for that entire, should there be a problem.
Yeah.
And then my comment about, I don't see a problem at all with having a driveway go across that trail.
Trails and
Six of them.
trails and sidewalks are treated very differently in code, and so,
Be a little bit more on the safety issue, because a lot of people won't be walking in front of my house, but they might be on the trail more. So-
We would hope that they'd be on the trail, that's why we're having them built.
yeah.
So there is a slight difference in.
And they'll also be riding their bikes on the trail as well, which they wouldn't necessarily be on the sidewalks as well throughout the city. Other comments from the council itself?
Something I just want to piggyback on what I said before on fire safety is, say there's a major fire on Lot 2. You have all those other residents on there going down to the cul-de-sac. They have no escape route.
No, that's a concern of
And
mine. but-
that's a concern, a major
okay.
concern for me.
I don't want to be too wobbly on this, but that's a concern you'd have in any cul-de-sac. It's not just.
It's not just cul-de-sacs though, gentlemen. We had a U.S. Marshal apprehension that took place here last summer, and there was 6 blocks where people were kept out of and couldn't go home because
Oh, yeah,
it was
no,
dangerous.
absolutely.
So, I mean, there's a little give and take that needs to be taking place here, and this isn't, I mean, I have a hard time attributing this just to fire and take out a cul-de-sac because somebody has to wait until it's safe to
Right.
travel by.
Well, even
we
if
also
there's fire on your street, chances are you aren't going to be able to get in.
It'd be like one day.
For a
though.
while.
I mean,
It wouldn't even be a day. I mean, you're
Hours.
looking probably.
It'd be
yeah.
hours.
And I think it'd be understandable. I think you could park one block away or whatever you had to for your neighbor's house to burn. I mean, I don't think this is a big concern.
I brought it up to get discussion, and we're having discussion, and that's the good thing.
Yeah.
Getting different opinions out there.
Anybody else?
I mean, the only thing is like, even if they ended it without a cul-de-sac, and if it's still a dead end and there's no more road path there, they'd be bogging through dirt and gravel because we wouldn't have a cul-de-sac, we'd have a dead end.
No, it'd be a through street there. If they didn't do the
Can't have it.
cul-de-sac, it'd be a through street.
So they can connect completely up.
They could they'd be connecting to 6th there if you did a through street.
And why do you guys choose the cul-de-sac over a road?
Yeah, if I can address the council first.
Could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off and stuff, but I'd like you to answer the questions that the council has for you about their concerns about the issues. I think
I'd love to do that.
unless you think I've not fairly provided the same information that you provided to us at the Planning and Zoning meeting itself.
Yeah, if I could address
Yeah.
Counselor Prasader.
Why don't you answer her question first, because she's the one that asked the question.
Yeah, one, too.
Actually, I asked first.
Yeah.
Can you explain, Brian, what precautions have been taken, or whether we're talking about heavier rebar or grading, to protect that trail?
Yeah, primarily has to do all of the trails that we've designed here in Independence where we anticipate there's going to be a driveway, or we know that there's going to be a driveway. There is a different design standard that we build that section of the trail to, and it has to do with concrete thickness. So they're all thicker in the segment that's going to be impacted by that driveway, whether it be the trail that is on 6th Avenue Southwest or the one on First Street West. So each of those driveways on First Street West, for example, the school, you can go right down the line, all of the many driveways that are there, they're all thicker than just the regular trail is that's out in front of the school, for example, where there is no driveway.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
You answer Deb's question then?
Could you repeat the question for me, Dave?
She wanted to know why you selected a cul-de-sac as
Just have
opposed
a
to
road.
3 Street.
Okay, thank you. When Ron and Janice came to us, they had kind of a vision for this development for single-family homes, low density, kids out in the yard, that kind of thing, without all the fences and things like that. And the cul-de-sac really lends itself very well to that type of neighborhood. And he did look at concepts that push that street through to 6th. And I think out of there, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but out of their desire for their vision for the development and the safety of the kids that are going to inhabit that development, they felt like it was a more safe option to do the cul-de-sac. And as far as standards talking about cul-de-sac lengths and speeds and those kinds of things, I just wanted to say that of the 20 lots that the mayor mentioned, only 14 of those actually are accessed by that cul-de-sac. So you're talking 14 units that would be accessed rather than all 20. So relatively low volume. We do have some curvilinear geometry that is intended to slow down traffic. One of the other guidelines that we use within SUDAS has to do with traffic calming, and the curvilinear geometry accomplishes that nicely.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions?
So if we sent this back to planning and zoning, the only options is either to put the cul-de-sac there or the road there. Is that
Well,
pretty accurate?
no.
I think planning
This
and zoning-
body, if I
Hold
could,
on.
this body can make any recommendations they would like to about this plat back to planning and zoning as far as what they would like to see on the plat, whether that's the continuation of the road, whether that's modification, whatever the council would like to see.
What else would there be, though?
Well, I mean, there could be other ways that this could be designed in terms of the roads coming in off of Enterprise and, depending upon where you put your through street and depending upon if you have a second street that would cover those 4 houses along Enterprise so that they would actually, go to the street as opposed to going to Enterprise itself. I mean, there's other design features that could be done. I'm not saying that it needs to be completely overhauled or anything, and I'm not, again, I want to see this development built. I just want to do it in a way that I feel that alleviates my concerns about that we're doing what's in the community's best interest.
And I would just say
Ultimately,
that
you have
Ron
to
and
remember
Janice have
too, ultimately, you have to remember too, that any conditions you guys put on it, you can send it back to planning and zoning. Ron and Janice can also say, we don't want to do those, and they can stop.
Or
So remember that too. I mean,
Or
that's a valid point.
Or it can go back to planning and zoning, and they could have a conversation with the Oils,
Right.
and the Oils could then say, no, we don't want to do that, but we'll do this. And then if planning and zoning, remember, planning and zoning only approved it 3-2. If they were missing 2 members at the time that they voted, otherwise it may or may not have actually come to the council. But if it goes back to planning and zoning determines that they think that there are things that could be done better or differently that would alleviate some of the concerns, then planning and zoning would meet with the Oils. They would then decide what fixes we can or cannot make, and then they'd make a recommendation to come back to us with whatever they're recommending at that point.
They're recommending this, right?
Yes.
This was passed by a 3-2 vote. It was recommended for approval by the body.
And Ron and Janice have spent considerable time looking at this piece of land. How long have you owned this land?
15 years.
Yeah, so they've looked at several different options, and this is the one that they've chosen to bring forward through planning and zoning and to you as the deciding body. So-
The only thing I would say is that if we're gonna have a trail, and then we're trying to connect up the city, and then we put a trail that, where it just goes into a cul-de-sac and it kind of loops them back.
Well, the trail-
We have one that goes through the property.
The trail we're
Trails-
talking about doesn't run along this
wouldn't run
cul-de-sac at all. No, it just runs along the north side of Enterprise Drive over to the corner of 6th and Enterprise
Okay.
at the moment. And then the intention is for it to continue north along 6th Avenue Southwest to tie into that existing trail that's already there down to Lover's Lane.
Brian, a couple points.
Sure.
First Street West, there's only one residential property that the trail would cross next to the block east of the Pizza Hut property. The rest of them are all commercial.
Commercial, yeah,
Yeah.
they're even more busy than a single-family residential.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right, it's a great point. The
So-
other trails that are out there, you're talking about commercial with a lot more in and out than these residential ones. that
Well,
are
with
very
2,000
remote.
cars going through there a day, that's my point.
Yeah, and that's a valid concern.
And that
I
was,
think.
and when 6th Avenue was built with driveways going out onto it, that violated the agreement they had with the Farm to Market Road situation. So then we lost
That I
money
can't
on that.
speak to.
Huh?
Yeah, that I can't speak to.
Yeah, and it was
I'll just
wrong.
say
And
that-
that's why I'm saying, let's not repeat the same mistake twice. Couldn't you put a frontage road and have the backyards of those houses, the 4 houses?
That's what I was trying to suggest.
There actually wouldn't be room there depth-wise to have constructible, if you look at the spacing, because they looked at that also. And some of those lots, if you look at the north end, those depths are getting to the point where they're only 120 foot deep. And so if we were to take another 60 feet out of that north-south stretch for a frontage road, you'd lose those lots. It wouldn't work because of the natural feature there, the drainage ditch that's there. But to your point, the driveways and people backing out, I think, I don't want to speak for Ron and Janice, but they said at the planning and zoning meeting that they're certainly willing to build those houses custom so that those people back out of a side garage and then they're coming out, instead of ever having to back out onto that road, they'd be pulling out front ways. And that could be a condition of this approval if this body so chooses, that the lots that are along the 2 streets, 6th and Enterprise, that those would have to be built in such a manner that the driveways would be forward out rather than back out driveways.
It does nothing to alleviate my concern about coming out over the trail.
Okay?
Okay. The other thing that we talked about at planning and zoning that hasn't been discussed is we looked at whether there was another option for another street, and you can't go through to the developments that you live in, Mike, because there's houses that have already been built there. And I believe that Brian indicated that we can't go toward Walmart because even though there's property that's back behind this project, before you get to Walmart's property, Walmart has some type of a condition that doesn't allow it to be more than a certain height. At least that's what you represented at the meeting. And as a result of that height restriction, residential homes could not be built on it. I don't know about the restriction itself, but I mean, I'll take your word for it that it does that. So that's enough. So we did consider other options to see if there was another way that we could have two entrances, 2 exits, whatever you want to call it. So it's not just one, which is always the concern with the cul-de-sac itself. Anybody else have any other questions for Brian?
On the trail and the driveways going over, I don't have a problem with that because,
No, you have a question for Brian, or you have a comment?
well, I was going to ask a question after I had a comment.
Go ahead then.
I don't have a problem with that because your probability of somebody walking on the trail at the exact moment somebody does back out or cars, that's a low percentage. But in the development, that option is always there when the people build there to have backing out of their garage onto a pad or something and then going out forward. That option's always there, which if I were to build a house there, I think I would want that option, so I'm driving out into the traffic and not backing into the traffic, because you have a lot better visibility. But it's however they want to do that. But I have no problem with, it crossing, the driveway's crossing over at all.
Well, in this case, you're looking at the builder too. So the
Right.
the end builder, the guy that's actually going to build the
And-
homes and the driveways, he's here.
And my question to you is, those 4 properties that do face Enterprise, that frontage in front of a garage would be plenty big enough to have a backup swing, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, of what I drove by and anticipated, trying to visually anticipate it, I thought there'd be enough room. And,
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and he did that on purpose. Those are extra wide lots, and you guys can see that just by looking at the geometry
Mm-hmm.
on the plat.
Anything else? Brian? Okay, thank you,
All
Brian.
right, thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments with respect to the motions itself? Okay, hearing none. Let me go back to the motion itself and read it to you again. This is the motion that is currently pending with a motion and a second. The motion is to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution approving the preliminary plat of the survey for Jackson Green 7th edition, noting that it complies with the city ordinances with the exception of 175.371C5, which requires that a cul-de-sac not exceed 500 feet in length, which by approval of the attached resolutions is extended as shown on the attached preliminary plat, but only for this preliminary plat. In other words, we're not trying to establish a precedent here. We're saying that if you are approving this with the exceeding 500 feet, you're only approving it as to this particular project and not any other one that might come up ever again in the city. So you're not locking yourself in if you were to vote yes on this. Okay, so this is, anything else? Okay, then this.
So a yes vote is for only 500 feet, not 750?
Yes
No.
vote is for what you're seeing.
No, a yes vote is to approve this as it's presented to you.
Yeah, okay.
As it's presented. Okay? All right, so this is a roll call vote then.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Appleby,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Versater,
Yes.
Maynard.
No.
It still passes 5-2. Okay, next we move to, just one second, let me get to the right page here. Okay, the next item is item number 12. This is a motion to approve and the motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution appointing Bill Lake to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Stephanie Saylor has been on the Planning and Zoning Commission for a couple of years. She's, as you know, she's left Robertson Eddy, and she's going to be moving out of town or spending a lot more time out of town, so she's submitted her resignation. Bill Lake was previously on Planning and Zoning. I was under the impression that he had been on for like 10 years or something. He'd only been on for a few years. So I felt kind of bad that I took him off, and therefore I want to put him back on since he wasn't I was trying to get new blood in there, but I shouldn't have taken him off. So that's why I'm recommending that we approve putting him back on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
We got no say on how many meetings they attend, but it looks like something like just this situation kind of created something because of fall. There's 7 on there, is that right?
There's 7 on there.
And only 5 showed up, so like you said, that vote could have went either way. And I've sat down in some of those planning and zoning meetings, and I think they're always short people at the meetings.
I'm sorry, did I get I apologize. Did I get the motion itself?
Yes.
Yes.
And I got the second. Okay, go ahead. Then go ahead.
I know we can't do anything about it, but we put somebody on there, we
Well, I know
kind of
that.
expect that they attend the majority of the meetings. And
Yeah, I know that I was on Planning and Zoning before I was elected to mayor, and I know that Bill Lake was one that did attend regularly. He was there all the time. I don't even know if he ever missed a meeting, so I don't think that issue is going to apply to him.
And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, the 2 members that were absent at this particular meeting, one had an excuse because of a medical situation, and the other one was out of town on, I don't know what you want to call it. She's
Winter.
Florida, wintering,
Winterizing.
yeah.
Recharging.
Yeah. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Any other further discussion regarding this? Okay, this would be a roll call vote then.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Brushader,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Appleby.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 13. This is a motion to set a public hearing for March 23, 2026 at 5:30 PM for consideration of a rezoning request from A1 agriculture to R3 residential within the city of Independence, Buchanan County, Iowa.
So move.
Second.
Okay, so this has already come through planning and zoning, but at a March 3rd meeting. But all we're trying, this is, the project itself is over, it's one that Steve G is
Say,
building.
hindsight being what it is, I should have included a map in there.
I was looking for it.
Typically I do, I didn't at this time, I'm sorry. So this is the end of Pine Drive. There's a I don't remember how many acres it is. It's right around 2 acres. 1.9.
1.93.
Yeah, so there's 1.93 acres of ground down there that Steve wants to rezone from A1 to R3, I believe with the intentions of trying to sell the property. So,
Okay, so anyway, this is just to set the hearing. This isn't to approve anything
Right.
anyway, so I don't think we need, unless anybody else has further discussion
why I
with
didn't
regard to
include
setting or not setting a public hearing. Okay, then this will be a roll call vote then.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Brushader,
Yes.
Maynard.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Appleby,
No.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved 6-1.
yeah, so that hearing will be on the 23rd, March 23rd then, and we'll start sending notice out to the surrounding property owners about the rezoning request also.
Throw a map in that, will you please?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we move to item number 14. This is a motion to extend the 2080 agreement to align with the 2 AMR contract completion date of October 31, 2026. I need a motion first,
So moved.
and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we talked about this at a work session, and the issue here is that we have a contract with the city and with the hospital for ambulance services, and that agreement is going to end on,
So we believe it runs through June 30th, 2026. The only date that's in the document is actually May 27th, 2021, and it was a 5-year term. But we think that it's effective through the end of this fiscal year, basically, so June 30th, 2026 would be when it expires. Because that's what we've budgeted for in terms of the expenditure to pay the bill, so.
so as you know, the levy passed, so the county will be taking over all of the costs with regard to the AMR services as a result of the payment from the levy. So the actual contract with AMR does not expire until October 31st of
2026.
2026. So there's a time period between the time that the ambulance commission, which consists of myself as the mayor of Independence, a member of the Board of Supervisors, and the CEO of the hospital. So that board there meets regularly to talk to the AMR people about, the timeliness of things, the number of different transfers from the hospital, all the other different things. So if we don't extend the agreement that we have with them, then at that point, the commission will no longer exist. And if the commission no longer exists, then we no longer have an obligation to make a payment to the hospital for the time period between the time that the 2080 agreement ends, which you think is in...
And we think it's June 30th. So I want to make sure that I understood what you said. So the agreement with AMR is between the hospital and AMR,
Correct.
not between the parties of the 2080.
We make our payments to the hospital. We do not make our payments to AMR.
So should we decide not to continue this until the 31st October, the hospital would then be required to make up that difference.
Well, the hospital and/or
And/or the county.
The county.
Has that discussion happened with those guys that you know of?
Discussion has not happened with those guys. The county has hired personnel to, they've hired the ambulance director. They're in the process of meeting and hiring a firm to handle the billing issues themselves. The county is basically, and they're looking, I believe that they're looking to purchase ambulances and staff and all the other things that they need to do prior to the inception of the county taking over from AMR, because the notice to AMR has to go out by May 1st, or the contract extends for 2 more years automatically. So my understanding is that the county will give the notice prior to May 1st, and then AMR will know that their contract is expiring on October 31st. And then, so the question for us is if we do nothing, then the commission or the board for the ambulance services will expire, and there's no obligation for anyone other than the hospital perhaps and whatever agreement they reach with the county to pay for that service. We wouldn't be responsible any further.
So if we don't have a vote on it, the
Yeah.
city would be done with it by June.
Correct.
As of June 30th, yeah.
And the contract is only with technically the hospital, and the county and the city both chipped in to help with it, but the contract is only with the hospital, not with the county or
So
the city.
there's 2 separate contracts in play here. The contract with AMR that provides service is with AMR and the hospital. That's one contract.
Okay.
And then the other contract that exists is the advisory board that the mayor's been talking about, that is the 28E that exists between the county, the hospital, and the city. That 28E expires June 30th of 2026. So there's some months there that would need service or somebody's got to figure out what to do with that, whether it's the hospital and the county.
Or just simply the hospital, if the county would
Right.
bow out also.
Right. If the city decides to continue with that, it comes at a cost of about $58,000.
As our share.
That's our share.
The hidden agenda here is, we all live in Buchanan County, so we pay county taxes.
Correct.
Part of our county taxes go to fund the hospital. So we're paying 3 times.
Yeah, we pay the city tax and the county tax.
Our residents pay the city tax, which is our share. They pay the county tax, which is the county share, and they pay the hospital share from the
Yep.
tax return.
I think
So
it'd
we
just be nice
pay
to-
all 3 entities.
I think it'd just be nice to know where the hospital standing was on that before we voted on it or
Well,
didn't vote or whatever.
I have had communications with the hospital in the past. They want to know what our position's going to be
In relation to this.
in relation to this. They have expressed in the past an interest in taking part of our share or something of that along those lines, knowing that we probably shouldn't have been involved in this to begin with, but we are.
Well, we don't want to be without an ambulance service for that 4 months.
No, we would still have the ambulance
Yeah,
service.
the ambulance service is, there's a
Everyone's
contract
not-
through October 31st.
It's got to get paid.
It does, it just.
It doesn't
it's
get paid.
by the hospital
And-
because our contract.
We don't know that right now. That's what I'm
What?
asking about. We don't know that.
The contract is signed by,
No, he did say that before, that our contract ends and then the hospital is responsible, and the hospital is going to carry that from then until the new contract begins. So they are going to pay it, and it will be paid. It's just going to be paid by the hospital, because we did a 5-year agreement with them as a city council to pay it, and their 5-year contract is at an end. But it will be paid, and it's going to be paid by the hospital. It's not going to, the ambulance service doesn't go away.
We don't know that for positive. We
In
do know-
order, well, but if the hospital didn't, they would be in breach of that contract.
but we would not.
Not the city, but the hospital. I shouldn't say they would be.
I mean, probably when we sat and made that agreement, we probably thought that when the 5 years is up, we were just going to renew their contract. If anybody said on those meetings and stuff back
Oh,
then.
when we talked about that, when we all had to pony up because Erie Ambulance pulled out, remember that was the plan, to get a county-owned.
There's also talk with city one too, so I mean, that's just, I'm just
I understand.
want to know that
We gotta
we're
have
doing the right thing. And
I don't think you need to worry about whether AMR is going to get paid, because AMR is going to get paid through the end of the contract term. I think the issue is, do we want to extend the 2080 agreement for this commission that we have and obligate ourselves to another $60,000 for the time period between when this contract expired? Because the contract itself doesn't have an extension time period or anything else. It's a solid 5 years.
The 2080.
The 2080 agreement has a solid 5-year agreement. There's no, if you don't give notice by a particular date that it extends automatically, there's no automatic extensions. If we're going to continue to pay, we would have to enter into a new 2080 agreement. And that's what this motion itself is, to actually extend the 2080 agreement. So yes vote on this would be a vote to extend the agreement so that we're going to enter into new contractual negotiations with the county and the hospital to extend the time period through October 31st of '26. A no vote on this would mean that we're not going to extend it, and it's up to the county and the hospital to work out the arrangements themselves, because we would not be involved in any further.
So if we go with a no vote, we do not need a motion after that then
I don't believe
for a yes vote to let it terminate.
I don't
The
believe
no
so.
vote will automatically terminate it.
The 2080 will automatically terminate at the conclusion of its term. There's no automatic extender in the 2080. So if you vote no, this runs through the end of it and it's done.
Okay. I was just stating that for clarification purpose.
Sure. Okay. Any further discussion on that?
Well, this is the staff recommends a motion to extend the 28E agreement to align with the AMR contract. So that still eliminates us from paying those extra 4 months, right?
If you vote yes, then we have to pay the extra $60,000 to continue along. We wrote the motion that way on purpose because the motion should be in the affirmative rather than the negative.
All right.
Further discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call vote then.
Moore,
No.
Versater,
No.
Maynard,
No.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Appleby.
No.
Weber,
No.
Hannah.
No.
Okay, it's defeated 7-0 then. All right, let's move then to,
4 months on my own. Screw us over.
let's move to item number 15 then, which is I need a motion to approve the proposal for professional engineering services for Fairgram to conduct the Pines first and third edition stormwater study and to authorize the city manager to sign the proposal. I need a motion first.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we've had the discussion about this at our, it's a special meeting, is that
Well,
word?
yeah, it was talked about there and at the work session.
Okay, we talked about it at the special meeting on February 10th of 2026, and we also had somebody from Fairgram come on March 2nd to the work session to discuss it further. The total cost of their study is $16,900. Fairgram has indicated that in addition to the study that they're doing itself, that they will be also, when they're here in person, look at the area to the north of there to make sure that we're not contributing to the cause, the problem there with the basin that we have that's going in at in the Pines first and third edition stormwater itself. So, any discussion regarding this?
I drove down there twice during the heavy rain. In fact, one of the constituents down that area called, and it didn't approach the houses. I mean, it was within 6-8 feet, but that was it. And it was significantly heavy rain, so,
So it was in backyards at 6 or 8 feet or not?
It's
It
in the
wasn't their
back.
yards.
It's in the backyards, though. Yeah.
but from the pile of dirt that didn't allow it to,
I don't think it's completed yet, is it?
no, it's not. The
Right. I think
grading and excavation's not.
Right.
So when they do this, will they notify the property owners that are going to be out there doing this? So the property owners,
We will ask them to.
I can ask them to, yeah.
I think due to the situation that existed there with water in those backyards and everything, I think we owe it to the citizens to go ahead and invest on this 16.9 to make sure, if there does end up being a problem, well, we at least tried.
Okay.
to find out.
It's okay.
Did you have something else?
I was just going to say that the homeowners to the north are part of this in the event, but the primary part of this is the basin itself. Whether the banks running into the basin from north and south are going to be sufficient, or whether we're going to have a potential problem where the water will, where the basin won't handle the water we're hoping it would.
And
So,
figure out what that 30 inch is doing.
yeah,
Right. We want
exactly.
to verify that the basin is going to work as it was designed.
Other discussion? Okay, that's a roll call vote then.
Persauter,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Appleby.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 16. Okay, I need a motion to approve the $8,500 revised proposal for MEP services, which is mechanical, electrical, plumbing for the Martin Gardner architecture, and to authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we talked about this at the work session on March the 2nd. Representative from Martin Gardner was here to talk about the fire station and getting some more specifics as to mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, so we'll have a better idea with regard to design issues themselves. Discussion or comments regarding that?
If we're gonna put it on a bond vote or not, because if you're not, there's really no reason to go to this.
We'll have to have it done either way, whether we do it now or we do it in a year. Whether we do it 26 or 27, we'll have to do it.
But that's only if we decide to fund it, right? For the fire, like,
Well, this is part of the design process, so I mean, the only way this money would be effectively not spent in a fiscal manner, I guess, is if we were to not do the project at all. We know we've got to do the project at some point, and having it designed and going through this process now is always going to be cheaper than what it is in 2 or 3 years.
I just meant like, I didn't know that we were guaranteed going forward, and that was kind of something we were discussing in the bond.
I don't know that we're, I don't know.
We're not, the council hasn't made a decision on the construction aspect yet. This is just the design piece.
To show
not
us what we
knowing-
could
not-
have and for how much.
To what?
It'll show us what's needed, what it's going to cost, and how it can be set up. Just
Not knowing what the wastewater, the sewer, the electrical that we have in there now, what state that's in or what it can deliver, will also affect a bit on what we have to do with, should the new building go on.
Okay.
So that's what they're trying to learn, is what do we really have here that can be built on and what can't be, what we might need to do in order to give an accurate
Okay.
dollar figure.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote then?
Maynard.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Appleby.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Persauter.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 17. I need a motion to approve and authorize the city manager to sign a vehicle purchase and transfer agreement with Blackhawk County.
So
Need a
moved.
motion first?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. If you'll recall, we talked about this at our work session on March the 2nd, and the discussions in your packet on page 187 in terms of the costs, and I think that Chief Lau came up and discussed the specifics in terms of how the financial part of it was going to work and why it was, why in his opinion it was a good thing for us to do. Other discussion with regard to that?
The only thing I saw when I was going through it was on item in the condition of sale. I gotta find it again, I'm sorry. It said the county rather than Blackhawk County. I just want to make sure that was, as a condition of sale, the county agrees to, I mean, it'd be nice to have Blackhawk
Three
County because
purchase
they're the one
price.
purchasing, but
It's under
Yeah.
3 purchase price.
what's that, Brett?
It's under 3 purchase price. The city agrees to sell the vehicle to the county.
Yeah, so at the top of the document where it says this vehicle purchase and transfer agreement, in parentheses, agreement, is made and entered into by between Blackhawk County, Iowa, a political subdivision of the state of Iowa, and then in parentheses it says county. So that would be anywhere from then on where it references the word county, it's referencing Blackhawk County.
My bad.
It's all right. I read a lot of contracts.
Further discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote then.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Appleby.
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Maynard.
Abstain.
Okay, it passes 6-0 with one abstention. Let's move then to reports. We've got the Police Department monthly report in the packet. Anybody have any questions or anything with regard that we want to address to Chief Lau regarding the monthly report?
No questions, but it was a very busy month.
Every month seems to be.
354 incidents.
Let's hope we wouldn't miss that opportunity.
Anything else with regard to the report? You want me to ask? Anything else?
You can-
Chief Lau, do you have anything? Chief Lau, is there anything else that you, other than what's in the report itself, that you have to report, that you'd like to report on tonight to the council?
Nothing tonight.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Next, we'll move to item number 19, which is the Fire Department monthly report. Same question. Anybody have any questions with regard to the report, calculations and numbers? Anything else that would go to Blake?
It's just weird seeing all these grass fires in February.
There's something.
It's great.
Anything else for him? Blake, did you have anything else other than the report, for tonight?
No, thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Next, move to item number 20, which is the Building Department monthly report. Any questions with regard to those for Matt? Nothing? Okay, then we move to item number.
Thank you, Matt.
We moved. Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to report on that we haven't talked about?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move to the ILPT report. Anybody have any questions that we can send to the ILPT about their report? Okay, then let's move to the council members. In case anybody has any reports or statuses on anything, we'll start with Brett.
No, Mayor, I'm good.
Deb?
Saturday, we had our cemetery meeting, and so we'll need to get with Bob about trying to get the rock for 3 different areas out there we want.
Yeah.
And some discussion with the cleanup, if he wants our group to help clean up, or if we can get some high school kids, or however we want to do that. And then also we wanted to get with you about any kind of grants that we can go for.
Sure.
Thank you.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Good, Mayor. Thank you.
Just like neither one of them are here, but Brett or Laura, they put on a very good open house at the airport Saturday. And Steve, great cooking as always. But yeah, it was a really good turnout. There's a lot of people there. It was nice.
Nothing, Mayor.
No.
I don't have anything. Do you?
The only thing I have for the council, I was going to talk to you guys about, so in the fiscal year 27 budget that we're working on, or that we're getting ready to wrap up on, we had included money in there for streets to purchase the diamond grinder to go on the front of a skid steer. With the events that are coming this summer, I'd like to accelerate that a little bit and go ahead and purchase it now. We're planning to use road use tax dollars to pay for it anyway, and we've got plenty in reserves to pay for it. So it wouldn't require anything other than a simple, when we do the budget amendment for the last budget amendment for 26, we would include it in there rather than having it in the 27 budget. And that's purely because I want to give Brad Esch and the streets guys the amount of time needed to do the work that needs to be done on First Street West, and that piece of equipment's going to be very critical for that. So if the council doesn't have any objections to that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's a budgeted expense in 27 anyway, and it's coming out of reserves, so it doesn't really matter.
Brad, I did forget one thing. According to the County Board of Supervisors this morning, the new tax statement is supposed to have been hitting the post office today, so citizens will be getting the county and tax, free property tax in the mail by the end of this week. And just remember one thing, those are numbers that the state requires us to send out, and they're not 100% accurate. But
So-
it's required to be sent.
So with that, a couple things. The tax notice, you want to make sure that you read the very bottom of the tax notice, because it includes an automatic 10% increase in your valuation when it's doing those numbers at the bottom. Because in the first year that it examines the price or the value or the tax levy on, it's basing that on a $100,000 value. And then the very next year, it's basing it on a $110,000 value. So right off the bat, even if we held the tax rate exactly the same, it would show an increase, even though we were not increasing taxes because the valuations are increasing.
Correct.
The other thing I will say is that when I was at Des Moines last week for the Local Leaders Day, we got very positive feedback from the people that we met with about the things that we're presenting as city managers. One of the things that's been universally very well accepted throughout every body, the governor's office, the House, and the Senate, is some modifications to that notice, including it's a complete rework what we've proposed that would actually show you more clearly where each dollar of your taxes goes.
But that will not appear on this one.
It will not. It takes legislative changes at the state level before we can make those changes for that notice.
Might be lucky to have it by next year.
2030.
2030?
I mean, if it's something that goes through and gets tagged onto a tax bill that gets enacted right away, it could be as soon as next year, but it's more likely spring of '28.
Yeah, the county said it's, the bill that they have to spend to mail them out is just taxpayer money wasted because the paper is no good.
I realize that, but I don't know that there's a lot we can do about it. 'Cause
Nothing
it's a
we can
county
do about
issue, and there's also the state legislative aspect of it. So,
When will our city one?
So the county is responsible for pulling all the cities, schools, hospital, whoever has public hearings, they're responsible for pulling it and sending it out. So it might be 3 pages of information for everybody countywide of when the proposed property tax levy is for everybody within the county. So the city does not actually mail anything, but we are required to publish it in the paper, which it was in the paper last Wednesday.
Thank you, Susie.
and that's the max levy or the budgeted levy amount?
It's the old max levy. The one that's the true final full budget is scheduled to be later.
Yeah. So that's another issue with that notice, is it's noticing what the maximum amount is that we could charge, not what we're actually going to do.
Correct.
Anything else?
I'm good.
We need a motion to adjourn then?
So move. Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned.